Hello. Okay, that overlay is way too big. This is what happens, people, when you put your overlay on while the countdown's on.
Oh, but I love the little clouds in here. They are
They're cute, aren't
beautiful.
they?
Yes,
No,
these ones. Well, maybe these ones. I don't know.
I don't know.
Decide.
No, I might leave this on for a little bit so people know what we're talking about, but I will turn it off at some point because sort of in the way a little. Hello and welcome to today's Sibs Book Club live show for this lovely book right here. I assume I'm pointing at the right place.
Oh,
Probably
it's
not.
the other way for you. Yes, that way.
There we go. Okay, so we are talking Persepolis today. We may very well we definitely will get into spoilers. So if you haven't read this and plan to read it, then think about if you want to hang around, if you want to leave the sound, if you want to still support us, but don't want to necessarily be spoiled for anything, you can always just mute us. Is another option if you prefer that. Obviously we have, hang on, at my point, I need to point that way, don't I? Lovely Beatriz. He's dealing with
I'm not
Klaus.
very here. Oh, I'm not. Wait, I'm not here very often, but for these ones, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just happy that I'm able to be here today.
We're happy to see you. Always. So yeah, let us know in the comments whether you've read this book, whether you plan to read it if you haven't. Yeah, so I think the only other little housekeeping thing I want to say is that we will need to be out of here by 10 to 5, so in about 50 minutes, just because I need to set up for the watch along of Persepolis, which will be on our Discord, which is linked in the description box below. So if you want to watch Persepolis with us, you can feel free to join the Discord, and it'll be in the events section. Okay, shall we? We'll do the hellos. Let's see who's here. Hi, Livia. Sorry. Hi, Livia. Hey, Swank. And hi, Swank. Okay, so Livia and Swank, did you read the book? And how, like, oh, Molly Dot's here. Hi. So yeah, so let us know in the comments what you rated it overall. If you rated it at all, because I feel like this one's quite a tough one to rate.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Beatrice?
Yeah, I for a moment thought of not rating it, mainly because it is a non-fiction book, although it doesn't look like it, let's say
Yeah.
like that. But I ended up rating it mostly on the side of what the book did for the real life story that it told, you know.
Yeah.
So my rating was 4 stars, just because I thought of giving it 5,
Yeah.
but I just think that 5 would have been a little bit different for me. So, for example, I know this is personal, so that is why I gave it 4 stars, because it's
Yes.
personal, but the art style is not my favorite, so that is one of the things. And I actually also did not like a lot the way that the pages were
Like the layout.
formatted. Yes, I think it was like very much. They had a lot of space on the top and the bottom, so they could have filled them a little bit better. And also, from these are just honestly little things that I might be being too picky on, but like the thing of it got very confused at one point if we were reading the two installments or just one, which I
Right.
think it ended up being a factor where I read both of them. My copy had both installments. So, but for example, a lot of people only had one of them, you know. So I think that is also something that was not quite well done by the publisher and or
Yeah.
slash the author, because like for example, we only noticed at one point that someone had only one installment,
Yeah.
and when I picked up mine, I did not know that it had both. So I think that could have been a little bit better explained, and like I don't know, they could have done something to so that us readers could understand a little bit better, like the the differences between the two books and the book that had just one book, you know,
Yeah.
or
Definitely.
just I don't know. That last part did not sound very well.
No, I think I know what you mean. Like I agree. I think it wasn't obvious, like it didn't seem obvious why they didn't have make it clear. Hello, darling, I'm on camera, sweetheart. Can you go put your pants on? Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
I think she's just woken up from a nap, actually. She
Mm.
doesn't normally, but she looks like she's just had a nap. Have you had a nap? Mommy? Yes. Oh, where's Daddy, Mommy? Daddy's gone to take Clara home. He'll be back soon. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
We've had Clara this weekend, which is my
Oh,
so Matt's just taken her back home ready so that he can be here for tech support for the watch along.
yes. The tech support.
Because nothing is as straightforward as it should be.
That's true.
So, but yeah, anyway, getting back on point, I totally agree. I feel like they could have done a much better job of letting people know. I don't really know why some were the complete book and some were part one and part two. It doesn't make sense to me. If it had been, I don't know if there'd been originally a plan to make it an extended series, but even that doesn't sort of make sense to me, you know?
No, to me, it did not make a lot of sense why they decided to do it in two installments. I think maybe what might have happened, and I cannot fully remember out of the top of my head when the book was published, but it might have been during the time where graphic novels and mangas might have been getting popular. So
Yeah.
they might have wanted to maybe do something a little bit more on that thing where 2006, so that doesn't, I don't know, that might have been just a personal choice, and
Yeah.
then later on they might have just added both books into one. But
Yeah.
to me, in the end, I just think that having one old book with the full story was very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Although I also really liked the vision between both of them, you know, where
Yeah.
the first part was her until she was like almost a young adult, and the second part is more her adult life and living her way into Iran, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
By the
Lots
way, sorry.
go on.
Just a disclaimer, if I have some words incorrect, don't forget your friend here is bilingual. I read the book in Portuguese, so there is a confusion in my mind with that.
Yeah. I think so far I haven't heard any. I know a lot of people say Iran. I say Iran,
Oh,
but I hear a lot of people say Iran. So I don't think it's wrong as such, if that makes
okay,
sense.
that's nice.
I think it's just like a a thing that changes depending where you are in the world, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say. Can't have been that interesting. Oh, that was it. Let us know in the comments. Did you have the full book, like all in one? What am I trying to say? The
All in
full,
one.
complete, yeah, the complete Persepolis, or did you have the part 1 and part 2 separately? And did you read both? So everyone's saying hello. And Molly, oh, I think I remember the same question in the Discord. Sorry, Molly. But glad that you enjoyed it. Hi, Livia. It's been too long for me to really remember, but I think that I wasn't sure whether I had one part or two until I got to the second part.
Oh.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. This question got into us discussing it because I think it was Vanessa. I just picked up my book and she saw it and she was like, "Oh, your book is really big." And I was like, "Maybe it's just because it's the Portuguese version." And then Laura picked up their book and also Laura's book is bigger. Yeah, so we then discovered that we have the complete story.
Yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't say that anywhere on the cover.
No, it's just not very well represented that it is the full story, you know?
It does say under the title Persepolis, it does say the story of a childhood and the story of a return, which is the two parts. But
to me,
it's an indicator that it's two parts.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of, you get that when you already know that it's two parts.
Yeah.
From that. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I feel like that's one of the bugbears that I had with it as well. And I think probably a lot of us didn't like that. I feel Iran is American. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. In Portuguese, it's a very strong word. So
yeah, didn't rate it. I think originally I tried to look on my story graph, but I must have read this before I had a story graph. Because I couldn't find my rating for it, original rating for it. Yeah, I don't know. Back then, I probably would have rated it 5 stars just because of how impactful it is in terms of teaching about the revolution in Iran and like the whole following through, like from childhood all the way through puberty, in such a I guess it probably, that sort of upbringing probably happened to a lot of kids in Iran, but I don't know, like for me it seems so, some of the concepts like the parents sending the kid off to boarding school and things like that, to me, like it's so alien to my thinking. Like I can't, but then putting myself in that situation, what would I do as a parent? And I think maybe I would have done the same.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just really, I don't know, it's just really impactful.
It's exactly. I think impactful is a good way to describe it because, for example, one of the things that really blew my mind, let's say it like that, was the wear versus no wear of the veil. You know, because when the war and the revolution started, they did not have to wear it, but as time progressed and more what is the word? It's not really religious peoples that I want to say, but as more the influence became more rigid, let's say like that, on the society where either they were against or with them, there would be no in between, you know, how that started then to affect what little girls, and even we see also a little bit of the mention from the boys could
Yeah,
wear, and that is something that to me it's mind blown, because when I was Marjane age, that was something that I could wear whatever I wanted, as long as I was not going out of the house naked, you know, or dressing something that was not appropriate for my age. And even today, like Laura knows, but I'm not someone that wears very revealing clothes. And if I wear them, I'm very, very self conscious that I'm wearing them. But um, one thing that really struck my mind was, for example, that when they started to want everyone to wear the veil, like
yeah,
every girl, every woman, everyone that had that feminine, let's say, sex,
yeah,
sex.
yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. Sorry. Uh, and that is something that to me was really, I don't know, opening in a way, because it's something that I did not know that they had a time where they did not have to wear the veil and the full on like clothes, you
Yeah,
know. And another thing to me is like, why ban like trivial things like board games, music, and things like that, you know? Um, because basically they wanted, or at least the way that it was portrayed, they just wanted people to live for the cause, and
yeah.
you know, I
It
don't
was the
know.
ultimate control, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's frustrating. I can't get my words out. The words are right there. I promise. Um, it is frustrating in a way to witness it as you're going through the book, knowing that this has already happened,
Hmm. But
and
it's
that's
still, oh sorry.
sorry. I was just going to say things are different now, as in they're under a different regime, but it's still there's still a lot of control of the society there.
Exactly, there is still like, although they are under different regimes now, they they do still kind of follow by those religious rules, you know.
Yeah, but
So
the religion itself, I feel like it. I mean, obviously, in the beginning, the religious aspect was still there. It was just exaggerated in order to control the populace.
yeah. Hmm.
But then it was also really interesting and heartwarming as well for Marjani to be making very clear that yes, these elements exist, these elements of control and manipulation occur, but the country itself, the people of the country are not that.
Yeah.
Such it's they're surviving ultimately, and that's why so many of them are still having parties, but like with blacked out windows and
Yeah.
like things like that. It was just it
Because
just
they
was really
were,
shocking but inspiring in a weird sort of way.
yeah, it was, it's a really, oh sorry,
Okay.
something is happening outside of my room. So it's very, how can I say it, but it's not as I think it's a very important book, and I think at least from in schools where this book and this is the theme of this first trimester is no yes first quarter
Mm.
first quarter. It's really the banned books. I think, for example, countries and locations where this book is not banned, for example, Portugal, I think this should be a read where that schools indicated like people and younger kids to read. It's a easy enough book to read, for example, when you are at a certain age,
Mm.
but it also can be a little bit daunting to
Yeah.
read if you are too young, you know?
Yeah.
So, from the moment where we start to have a little bit more understanding of, oh, wars happened, wars can be gruesome, and all of that,
Mm.
at least I feel like in my country, this is a book that we have a Portuguese. So, as you probably have English where you are from, you know, we also have Portuguese in
Right.
Portugal. So where we learn like Portuguese
Um,
grammar and things like that, exactly, that not a
mm.
lot of us use but on our days to days, but we have to learn it.
Yeah.
And we have one thing that it's by ear. We have a list of reads that we can choose one book, and it's like our mandatory read. And I really think that this book it's should be in there at in some degree, because
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting book. It would be interesting also to for someone in school to read it. Besides, like those like national classics and some international classics. You know, for example, I had to read Jane Austen for one of those. It's fine, but like when I was like 14 or even less. Like, I did not want to read Jane Austen, but
Yeah.
maybe if I saw, like, oh, this is pictures also, maybe it might be interesting, you know? And
Yeah.
it's a very interesting book and very eye opening, and it shows us a lot more than we might think, and
Yeah.
explains to us a lot more. For example, even like all of those little kids, because they did not have any older soldiers, they were taking little kids to the front
Yeah.
of the war, which I was like, oh my god, that is. And how can parents let their kids do that?
Mm.
You know,
They don't
how
have a
can
choice. It's either let your kid go or the whole family gets killed.
yeah, but for example, there were other parents like they were taking the
Mm.
kids outside of the country, so they did not have to go to the front. So I was like, okay, I understand, but maybe I
Yeah.
think in that position, taking the kids out of the country so that they did not have to be on the front and lose all of their lives, even their childhood. I think that would have been a much better solution than just simply like, oh, you are serving your country, so go, even though you are 10. You know?
Yeah. Or maybe the ones that didn't send their kids away, maybe they're the ones that really believed in what they were being told. And
Yeah, I think the ones that did send the kids to the front were the ones that really like believed what was happening,
yeah, I
believed
can't
that.
imagine a parent doing that without really believing what they were doing was right, you know?
Yeah,
Even though it seems so like opposite to us. Like I can't like I
it's
can't wrap my
very.
head around it, but at the same time, I
Let me just go get my book. I
okay.
did not want to get up, but let me just go get my book.
So yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know. I do have a couple of questions, but I feel like the conversation is sort of just flowing quite well. So
I'm
um,
back.
let me know if you have any thoughts or any questions yourself that you want the rest of us to answer, feel free to ask. I feel like we can't do this book the way that we would normally do a live show for a book, because it's almost too serious.
Yeah,
Because it's a
it's
real life situation. Like, it needs to be treated with a little bit more respect than who's your favorite character,
yeah.
you know?
Let me exactly. One thing I found very interesting. It oh maybe Livia's comment is also in part with what we were saying. Like exactly, it was also a money situation. For example, I for a moment I thought that
Sorry.
yes. Oh, sorry. I was also reading it. I thought that we were getting. I don't know what I thought we were getting with the book when I first read it or when I started to read it, because this was something that I did not know. Laura introduced it to me while we were um, thinking and brainstorming the first time on what we would do. And I was like, okay, we never done a graphic novel. I think it could be interesting. And especially being a banned book, I want to understand what got this book banned. I now understand. Like, it's a very. mm, I'm not going to say controversial because that is not the word that I want to use, because this is a real story, you know? And I think that we have to take it with a grain of salt, where this really happened, instead of oh, this is something that an author decided to go with, you
Yeah,
know? This is not the situation. This is what this woman lived. This is what it happened into this country, and from my understanding still happens, because they since then they were never fully free, let's say like that, from wars and everything like that. And that side of the world is very chaotic, very messy, let's say it even like that. So we don't have to put so strong words into our conversation, but it was very interesting to me to see Marjane grow up, you know, to
yeah,
see her in the first pages being like, I want to be like God, I want to be someone that, like, I don't even remember how and what she said, but she wanted to be a voice for
yeah,
people,
she
you
wanted to
know.
be voice for people. But also, I love that sort of like childish innocence of this idea that, oh, I can be anything I want to be. Like,
Yeah,
I
and
want
then
to be a god, you know? Like,
exactly,
what did
and
I
then
think of this as a child?
exactly, and then she grew up.
Yeah.
She started to grow up. We see how the war starts to affect her education. Like even the first chapter, if it is the same one as me, it's called The Veil, where she is introduced into wearing the veil at school and how they have to do it, but they like do not want to do it, and they like go on to recess and take it off and fly it around like it is like something, just, and not a really like, not dictatorship, because that is not the case in here, I think, but um not something that shows liberty, you know.
Yeah. I think it is a dictatorship,
Oh, okay,
because
thank
there's
you.
one person in charge.
Yeah, and then
Decide
it
what everyone can do, think, say.
It
Uh,
one thing that I also find very interesting. I don't remember if anyone found this part interesting. When she was more of a teenager, let's say like that, she went out to buy cassettes. to buy music. Like, I'm so sorry. You all know Klaus by now. He today is very loud. And it was not legal. She blatantly goes and knows that she's doing it wrongly, but because she still wants to feel like she's normal, she's like the rest of the world, she does
Yeah.
it because she does not want to lose on it. Sorry. You can go, I'll mute myself.
Okay. Bless. Yeah, I agree. And actually, I think I need to correct myself, because although it is one person in charge, it is because of the. Sorry, I read this more than a day ago, so I've forgotten nearly everything. No, I'm joking. I haven't forgotten everything, but the details I have, clearly. Yeah, so it is the Islamic Revolution who have they've taken over, and then put one person in charge that they know they can control and manipulate into doing all these things, basically. So it is kind of a.
Okay, closes, calm down. And I actually agree with Molly Dot onto the situation. I think that I wanted to say, sorry to interrupt. If you want to take the banner from in front of you, like just so we can see you or your beautiful face.
Yeah, I can do that. I just have to remember where it is now.
We will wait.
There, found it.
Oh.
There we go.
I don't know. It was awkward not seeing you fully, so I was like, I need to comment and say something. I think I agree with Molly that he's saying here. The author really was amazing in expressing and having the right quotes into the little like squares. Although I do think in some of them she has too many texts. Like more at the end of the book, like it's almost just like a little picture, and then the rest of the block it's just text. And if we go into exactly, for example, and if we go and want to enter more of well, let's say be a little bit more nitpick with how graphic novels and so on are written. Like they just have, like for example, this page is also full on text. So but I still think it's very interesting, and she was totally able to portray what was happening really well. I did prefer the first part a lot more than the second one. I think the second one to me was a little bit more like not only the author getting to know herself as a person, because on the second part she is getting out of Iran. It's when she's fully living it, because her parents said, no, it's enough. You are not learning anything here. You have too much of a modern way of thinking. So we need you to go somewhere. And they take her to a friend's house, and that friend decides that she simply does not want to put it up with her. And I'm like, girl, what the hell? Like,
some best friend you are.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I don't know, but that part was very strange to me, like where the girl and the best friend or whatever simply just threw her into a nun's school, and I was like,
just anywhere
I'm
that's
sorry.
Basically.
I was like, I'm sorry if I left a kid of mine, which I don't have kids, with a friend, and then she called me, look, I put your daughter into a nun school. I was like, you did what? With whose permission? So I did not like that part, but I'm getting too much ahead of myself. We have not yet fully talked about
No, but just a little. I would be interested. I feel like Marjani very much avoided talking about what her mum and dad's response to that would have been, because it doesn't talk about that at all, really, other than
No.
just carried on as normal, saying everything's fine when she was on the phone to them. So I don't know, did the parents even know that she'd been put there? Like, they must have
Yeah.
at some point. It's just at what point? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that was kind of left out, and I don't know. I don't know why.
Yeah. And I don't know, but I think one part that was very interesting to me was when her uncle came and he was like a war prisoner or something like that.
Yeah,
I cannot fully remember at this point. But she was like, she thought her uncle was like the best thing in the world, and he was
yeah,
very brave and so on and so on. And then further on she discovered that was not the case, that her uncle was not what they initially portrayed. And I found it very interesting. Another thing that was very how can I explain and say it, very open-minded and eye-opening to me was how the hospital scene, that her uncle or a friend of her parents had to go to the hospital due to a heart situation or something like that,
yeah,
and because they couldn't get him a passport in time, he died just
yeah.
like that. And I was like, I do
That's so sad.
understand the how tough the situation was, but I maybe never imagined that it was as tough
Yeah,
as this.
yeah. I think this was really interesting in that it shows you the experience of normal day people under this regime, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is what we don't get access to in other areas of the world. When something's going on in a country, you don't see the everyday existence. You just
No,
you just
we just see,
have
at least
the
nowadays.
bombs and the fighting and maybe some of the political stuff, but you
Mhm.
don't very often see the actual just day-to-day living, and
No, and
how encom- completely encompassed your whole existence is under something like this.
I I think that was all that I wanted to mention on the first part, because the ones that also impacted me a lot was when she went to college, if I'm not wrong, on the second part. Like, she's showing that, oh, one of my eyes grew, then the other one, then one of my ears, then the other one. Like,
Yeah,
she portrayed it very well, but since she was having such a hard time, she showed and portrayed that the hardships that she went through. She went into, if I'm not wrong, she started smoking a lot, even if I'm not wrong, drug abuse at some point, and all of that. But I don't know. Laura, you are the one conducting today's live show.
conducting
Conducting.
conducting.
Sorry.
So, I mean, I've got a couple of questions. I've only stuck with three realistically because I realized how, like, we could literally do like a 6-hour live show with
Hmm.
this one because there's so much, especially if you read both parts.
Yeah.
Uh, there's so many things. I just want to quickly wave at DD. um, but yeah, so I'll say the questions and then we can just go with the flow. We've only got like probably, well, I said 5 more minutes, but maybe 10 more minutes, you know.
Mhm.
But then, okay, so one of my questions was, outside of this book, did you know anything of the Iranian Revolution, like going into it?
I so Portuguese in class we get a lot of world history, so not just very Portuguese history, because like at a certain point Portugal stop, so we just get information into us, not outside of us a lot of the
Right.
times. And um, I knew this happened. It's something that we know happened. It's something that we still do know that the country is living the consequences, and even sometimes some smaller revolutions that happen here and there, especially in this part of the world. But I had no idea that it was such a not important, because it is important
Yeah.
always, but like you said earlier, that we always see on the news like what it's doing for the country. For example, here in Europe we are facing a lot Russia versus Ukraine, which is something that it's all over the news in Portugal, you know. And even the new like Gaza and Palestine situation, it's also everywhere around the news. But um we do not get to know like today's lives, and I think it was what made the book much more special, because it showed us um, what people were how and what people were living at that time, and not just like the political and region
Mm.
aspects of the situation.
Yeah.
No, religious. I'm sorry. Religious. That is what I meant.
Yeah. I agree. The next question was, Marjani sometimes has a typical teen attitude while being in a
Oh,
dangerous situation, to be trying to figure yourself out, etc. What are your views on how her parents balanced wanting to give her a normal childhood while also keeping her safe, while also doing their part in the revolution?
so I found very interesting when Margie, just like they call her in the book, went
Yeah.
out in secret to one of the
Yeah.
revolutions. I think that was very brave of her, but at the same time, like I think when she was younger, they might have explained to her a little bit better what was happening, so
Yeah.
that she knew like she could not do those type of things because they were extremely dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
And but I think like when she started to grow up, she started to herself understand what was happening. And
Yeah.
I think her parents wanted much than anything else just give her a normal childhood, you
Yeah.
know. But since they were not able to do that, they decide to board her and
Yeah.
to let her live in another country where she could be, well, a little bit more of a child. But I
Yeah.
agree. She has, even when she is in college, she has a lot of childlike attitudes with her mom, especially when in that house that she finds, they like something. Oh, she looks like, no, they don't say that she looks like a potato, but they are very mean to the lady, and they said like her tea tastes like pee or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was a little bit not needed. You know, I think those
Yeah.
are really mean situations and mean things to do in a normal situation. I do understand they are hurting. They just want to like bring a lighter atmosphere in general, but at the same time, mean things are mean things. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Definitely. I agree. Like I feel like the the goal was obviously to give a normal childhood, but then there was just no way. I feel like if it had just been balancing normal child, not just. That's
Mm-hmm.
simplifying it too much.
Yeah.
But if it had been 2 out of the 3 aspects, then it might have been somewhere near doable. But I think that I could see that the parents were trying really hard to get that balance. That I think actually, when I try and put myself in that situation, I don't know that I would have even tried. I
Mm.
think the fear would have taken over for me personally, and I would have just tried to wrap them in bubble, like I wouldn't have let them out of my sight. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. I think I would have towed the party line, so to speak, out of fear of out of fear of losing my child.
Yeah.
But actually, what I think Marjani's parents did was a lot braver. Um,
I think they were very brave in what they did,
yeah,
and obviously the first book ends with her father taking like her mother's limp body because she fainted. You know,
yeah,
so that is very impactful.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And then the last question was, what did you think of the art style? I couldn't read my own writing there. Uh,
I
obviously, you've already technically answered this one, and we've covered it a little bit. To be fair,
I think it's very rudimentary. You know,
yeah,
it's just, well, everything is just lines no matter what. Like drawing is just lines, that's true, but in this situation she is able to portray in a way what is happening, but at the
yeah,
same time they are at a certain point they are just blobs that are happening onto the onto the page, you know. And I'm okay. It's not my favorite one. It's not my least favorite one. I have seen worse.
yeah,
So I'm okay with it. I'm just very middle of the road with it.
yeah.
You know?
I um, yeah, I think I'm the same. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I do agree with what Molly Dot said earlier about the facial expressions. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it'll go for a while and the facial expressions are not really doing anything, but then in like this one, for instance, you can hardly even see their faces, but somehow it really is like portrayed,
Yeah.
without having read they're saying goodbye, but it's, I don't know, like I totally agree with the facial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would not mess with this nun. I absolutely would not mess with this nun. I would do everything they said, everything.
I think with all of them. And I don't know. But Molly also left a comment earlier. Um
This one,
yeah.
very little I read a James Clavell book decades ago, Whirlwind, and picked up a tiny bit from that, but it was fiction. Okay. So I think this is in reference to like how much
Oh,
you of like this
I just
revolution.
wanted to this. There's a chapter that it's called The Socks. It's this chapter where Marjane is back in Arwan. She passed her exam to go to like the art school with her boyfriend and so on. And oh, something happened to the computer. And she is taking human drawing classes, and basically due to the restrictions they want people to look like, do you know that statue where the mother is hugging the kid?
In here.
No, it's a statue, a normal statue. Let me see.
Hi, Shannon.
Um,
Hey, Ma.
it's the it's called the Pieta in Portuguese.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe I would recognize it if I saw it, but
It's by Michelangelo, the sculpture.
oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah. When I saw this drawing with where they were trying to like draw the human body, and he had like this huge um this one, you
yeah,
know, that is everything that I remembered. Like I studied art in school, so I kind of depicted this sculpture, and like the triangular pose, I just could remember that. So yeah, and this was an interesting way of seeing what exactly it's Mary. Exactly, it's that one. Yes, it was an interesting way for me to see like what they wanted to do, and
mm,
from there they just like, no, this is impossible, we can just draw like a lot of fabric. So they started doing clothes
right,
males bodies.
yeah. Fine.
Sorry.
It's
Just
okay. No, I wish I'd put the watch along till 5:30.
it's fine.
uh, I did know there was more freedom before. I saw photos of Arena
Mm,
60s.
yeah,
I think the style is right for the story that it tells a crude style for a crude story.
I agree. Yeah.
They looked very Western. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of that's what they were trying to stamp out, any sort of Western impact in society. And of course, Marjani was just like, yeah, screw that. I love a jean jacket.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I because at the same time, people that were living their like normal lives besides the like uh oh my god, the normal lives, besides the ones that were very revolutionary and very religious and wanted like the government, it's right, it's the only one right, they were trying to live their lives to the best of their abilities. And one of them in specific was and commented like when they got the satellite antenna, you know
Yeah,
uh, where they could see like, and how she just stayed on the couch all day every day. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. But there's also the start posters with the dead for the cause. Yeah. There were imitations, the statue. Ah, I didn't click onto that actually.
Yeah, once you start to study a lot of art history, you start to see a lot of the same things everywhere.
Interesting. That's a Google rabbit hole I'm going down next.
Well, it's a lot, I will tell you. I studied from the cavemans until like today's era. So once I
Yeah,
was in school, two different times I did that. So that is why I have that memorized. That one in specific is a very common statue used on a lot of crudes and scenes like this one,
right.
because it is very emotional. statue, it holds a lot of emotion, and especially for the time that it was made, which in the time that the book was happens, the statue was already made. So
Yeah, yeah. So it has that.
especially since Margie liked art, so I do understand where she got a lot of her influences, but then she make it her own, you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So, I mean, I had a few moments while reading this that I thought, oh my goodness, everyone's going to hate me for picking this one.
Oh no, it was an interesting one. I'm more afraid of the next two ones. So,
Okay. So no one hates me for picking this one, hopefully. I will make sure not to constantly pick such heavy books.
you're okay,
But
don't
I'm
worry.
so glad that we got to read this one together, because I think the first time I read it for myself, I was so emotional reading it that there was a lot of things that, like some of the subtle nuances that I missed.
Hmm.
And I think the experience of reading it as part of this group has really helped me understand some of that a little bit more. So, like, I'm personally really glad that we got to read this together. So yeah, hopefully I haven't traumatized anyone by.
No, don't worry. I did not cry, so I'm fine.
I think I almost cried a couple of times.
Mm,
It was like my eyes were wet, but not actually crying. I
yeah,
think because it was the second time reading it, I think it wasn't
yeah.
quite as hard hitting as it was the first time.
Understandable. Yeah. So, oh, sorry. Do you want to
Yes,
say it or I can say it?
you go for it.
Okay, so no, February, which is this month we are in. It's going to be my pick, which is Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and March's pick, it's the group's pick that
Yeah,
everyone helped us choose. We are still tweaking our method of choosing because that one was a lot,
yeah,
but for March we are reading The Handmaid's Tale
yeah,
by Margaret Atwood, if I'm
yeah.
not
I
wrong.
think that one's gonna get me real bad because I haven't read that one before.
Yeah, we still have to understand.
Almost completely blind.
Yeah, we still have to understand like how well we want to do the March ones and the March picks, but we will get to it. Maybe we will talk because we will be together 2 full
Yeah,
days in March. So in there we are going to be able to talk about these things a little bit more.
yeah, yeah, definitely. The difficult part of the how we did the polls for the March pick was
Mhm.
that it meant that at some point we had to, when we reduced it down, we had to include a book that people, what was it? They had read but would read again,
Yeah,
which is fine, but we kind of wanted to try and choose books that people generally hadn't read, um,
yeah.
but wanted to read, not hadn't read and didn't want to read. So yes, that's the whole setup. That's yeah.
Oh,
Recommendation for similar themes. My Forbidden Face is a memoir of a middle class girl in Afghanistan when that country changed. I
oh, that
will,
is interesting.
yeah, I will note that down for sure. It's not as good as Persepolis,
Mm,
that isn't as skilled, but again, it's interesting because it's true.
that's true.
Hello, Amara. Hi, I completely misunderstood the setup for book club. No worries. I thought we were discussing on call in the Discord server before the
Well,
meet. Sorry, Amara.
that is something that we can think of doing in the future.
Yeah, I, I mean, we could, yeah. we could, if people are happy with it being there,
Yeah.
then we're more than happy to put it there. I'll have to rewatch this discussion later. I'm so sorry, Amara. I popped the link in when I set it up the other day, but I know sometimes it's easy to miss things like that in the Discord. So I'm so sorry about that, Amara. I also read a shorter story, Embroideries by Marjani, about women, connections and female genital mutilation. Interesting. Oh no, don't worry.
As I've said,
it's something I think as hosts we sometimes forget that if you haven't been to a live show yet or whatever, then you wouldn't necessarily know.
But this is something that we might think of if everyone wants, because maybe sometimes Discord is more interactive than us being here. We can we can maybe try on the Sibs book club, set up the Discord, and for us to do our like discussions, we can like do it on there. Although you don't have to have the camera on, you can just speak with us normally, or even in the comments. It's up to you.
Yeah, you can either use the voice or the typing way. That was the technical terminology. I thought it was just regular sprints. I didn't. Right. Okay. No worries. Easy misunderstanding to make, I think.
We will actually put we will put it on the Discord, like just like a vote, what everyone wants to do. And if everyone wants to, or the majority of us, we are all in for the majority wins. So if the majority feels like maybe discussions live with everyone in the Discord might be better for the discussion itself, I think that might be interesting. We can try it and see if it works, maybe.
Yeah. The only downside that I can see to that is I know there's some people that read the books with us that sometimes come to the live shows that aren't in the Discord. So I guess it would probably be less inclusive in that respect. But I don't think there's a lot of people. So I can always do like a poll on my community tab or something just to see if people are happy moving over to the Discord.
And sorry. And it would also make like the book club aspect feel more like a book club, you know, if everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
I think it could be funnier. We can try like for the rest of March and February. We can do it.
That was me pointing at the description box, by the way.
Oh, I can give me one moment.
Pop it in the chat.
Yes.
Actually, then it's a proper link. Then I don't think.
Give me just one moment, and I'll put the link in. Invite people. Okay, I will put one that expires in 7 days, but here it is, the Discord link. If you would like, you can join us. And hello, Donna.
Yeah, using all the custom emojis there.
Oh, we cannot see it in here, sadly.
I'm glad that you're enjoying them. I hope you feel better soon, though. So, I think that's it. And I'm only 10 minutes late. That's about how late I was for my own wedding. So I feel like
Molly just joined us in the Discord. Welcome.
I don't know what all these hand gestures were. I think my brain got confused there. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Honestly, we couldn't do the Discord and the book club without you all.
Absolutely.
So we are just happy that you all decide to join us, decide to take your time to discuss it with us. And so far this year, we have had some really nice answers to what we are doing. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I really am that I'm not around as much as I would like. Laura knows how hard work is going on for me currently. Um, Sadly, our schedules next week did not meet because I'm on annual leave next week for a few days. And sadly, they did not meet. When Laura could, I could not. When I could, Laura couldn't. So sadly,
Isn't that just typical though?
yeah.
Best plans and all that.
But we will try. We will try our best. And if you want, for example, more reading sprints from us, we can try always to work something around. And also for everyone that's here, um, Resetathon is coming back this year.
Woo! I'm so excited.
I'm excited. We are working on it. Well, not yet, but we talked today about it very briefly, and we decided that we already have a month picked briefly, I guess.
Yes, we did.
We just have to talk with some people and start to do it. So
Yeah,
that is
we
the main
put it
thing.
together. So, okay. Well,
We will watch a movie now. Laura
yes,
has to set up everything with Matt. I
yes.
will go to the bathroom and get, but I will join you all.
Oh,
Luckily,
yay! I didn't know if you were going to be able to.
yes, yes, yes.
Yay. Okay.
My plans were yesterday, so I can. Yes.
Yay. Okay. So I will meet anyone who's joining for the watch along over in the Discord. Thank you so much for being here today. I've really enjoyed this experience reading this with you guys and hearing all your thoughts, reading them all, and just generally having a great time with everybody. I really appreciate it. Okay. I'll see you all soon. Love you. Bye.